Beautiful day, all you fabulous brave hearts. We are back with another amazing Braveheart Nation Studios show. One of my absolute favorites. It's the Dr. Judy Show. I'm your host, Cheryl Serta, master practitioner from Occidental Health and Healing in Northern California. If you have any questions, please put them into the feed today, or you can call me at 707-322-1979 for clarification. And this is my favorite day only because Dr. Judy comes on Mondays and then she has all week to gather more information for us. So she's like my news lady. So I can actually know what's really going on, not only in our government, but what's really going on and what the misinformation that we're being fed by absolute cupfuls of garbage. And so it's really nice to have somebody who's up there and can actually discern for us what's really going on. So welcome, Dr. Judy, and happy Friday.
Happy Friday, Cheryl. It's good to see you again. Yes, it's always a difficult week, but by this evening we get to practice the Sabbath rest, which means our work's done for the week and we sit back and watch what God does with it for the next from sundown to sundown Saturday night. So yeah, this is my favorite day. I'm cleaning up the mess from last week, from last week's parties. We had a lot of fun on Memorial Day. And then moving forward and looking forward to Sunday, the first day of the week, when we give our family the most love. So we give our best to our families on the first day of the week, and that requires we eat really good food and drink really good beverages and have a really, really beautiful day talking to each other about the things that they're confused about during the week, or the news and things that we go through with the week. So we go through nutrient sensing, and the problem that I see today, in fact, I wasn't even sure we wanted to look at any slides today because, it's hot and heavy out there where people show me things, or they hear things, or we're on various shows, and it's I'm grateful to the people that invite me to talk with them, because we have an opportunity to discuss really what's true and what's not true. And the most important things is the letters you use, the words you use, and of course the media confusing everything so that people are basically talking an acronym right now, talking an acronym. Oh, NAD, NAC, oh, methylene blue, oh, EDTA. What exactly are you talking about? And I say, okay, because they're asking me, oh, Dr. Judy, should I take that? Or we had a discussion with Kimberly Crail this week on her podcast, which is fabulous. She's an herbalist in Florida who I'm going to see in a couple of weeks when we go to Florida and meet, with a bunch of healers and different events. We're meeting the 20th, 21st, and 22nd in Venice, Florida, with folks like Dr. Ben Marble and Cece from Hospital Homicide and many other doctors in the tour that's called Stay Awake America. So this is, I think, and then on the 28th, the group, including Cece and Hospital Homicide, will go to, a form of Heroes of the Faith. I don't know exactly the title of the conference, but we'll be there in West Palm Beach, Florida, or near West Palm Beach, Florida. Really doing this, talking to each other, and to stay awake, we have to make sure that we're not numbed by misspeak and just chatter that has nothing to do. We always have to stay vigilant that God's natural laws, which are science, are completely separate from the cult of scientism that has enveloped our entire world. I like the word enveloped because these are envelope viruses, envelope viruses. So you package the information and you ship it where you want. And that's essentially what your body does and your immune cells when it sends the fire trucks to the fire. We show the figures of exosomes. What does that mean? So we try to define these words. And everybody's like, no, it's not a virus, it's an exosome. Well, what if it's your God-given endogenous in your genes? Endogenous virome, which is on your X chromosome primarily, but not alone. And you actually say, I see that poison down to the nanometer, nanobot. I see it's a bacteriophage. And what does that mean? Oh, that's a virus that infects bacteria. So this week, you could tell I've got a bit of a cold because the last few weeks, we've had a really bad tide. It's called a bad bloom, a bloom of red tide. And that's just an imbalance in certain microorganisms where a bacteriophage that phosphoresces, what's the word, like phosphorescent, it expresses into the air, into color, into the water, the color of phosphorus. Each mineral, each thing in the genetic code, each nanometer of sunlight, has a different effect in your body and an energetic that you can see, and of course feel. But these red blooms, they don't hurt people, but that in bacteriophage infects snails and crustaceans, they're called, and oysters and things. So I've been out with my 10-year-old grandson Elijah and my nephews who were in their 30s last weekend, and we're like teaching marine biology, which is a great deal of fun. The fun for me with respect to the red tide is as the white sea bass and halibut, which aren't affected, are actually looking for food, which are usually the smaller krill and the other organisms in the sea. Son Lance went out on our fishing boat, his fishing boat, which is right behind me. I'm blessed that he puts it in my dock. So he caught like 400-pound sea bass, and we cooked that sea bass in a Thai Chilean sauce, and we just had I mean, the food was just like we were all asleep. We're like, whoa, what was that? I mean, my nephews were licking the bowl after the kids went home, and so we had a great time, thinking about food, and we all know, food is medicine, but our soil is dead thanks to Roundup, glyphosate, everything we put in the soil is dead, which contaminates the water. And the cyanide that comes out of the hospitals, that comes out of, because everything that we preserve a lot of our pills, not everything, with sodium azide. That's NaN3. And people don't appreciate everything organic has carbon in it. So we're literally extracting from the dust, from the dirt, the carbon linked to the sodium azide ends up in the water as cyanide. And so then you're killing the things that are creating the homeostasis or the balance in the organisms in the water. And when it's hotter and when we're spraying the chemicals in the air, which you can actually, we did another experiment where we took a magnifying glass when we could see the chemtrails, we just focused the light on wet grass and it burned. And I thought, oh, there's Moses in the burning bush. So how energy is directed is critical. So yes, if you want to call it consciousness, yes, plants have consciousness, but God made each according to its kind, is the Bible. I'm always sitting here and with the Founder's Bible where I prop up my computer on my lap so I can show you, and I'm in I'm in 2 Corinthians 3:18, and it says right there, don't veil your face before your God. Don't put on a mask and create hypoxia. So all that carbon dioxide from all the pollution, then you're taking in the heavy metals, the plastics on the mask, the deadly things in the paper fiber and metals from those blue things from China. None stops a nanobot you might call a virus, which is also a poison, but which poison? And again, at the nanometer, which is 10 to the minus 9, is not a micrometer, which is 10 to the minus 6. Microns you see on a microscope. Microbes you see on a microscope. Most worms or parasites you see on a microscope. So as you might guess, I'm a little bit frustrated because, it's not your truth or my truth. We're not God, and we were given dominion that over all. And in the fall, in the Garden of Eden, that was when our lifespan was cut to 120 years. And the Bible is the word of God, and every word is true, and we don't subtract or add to it. But at the end, we were supposed to till the soil. We were supposed to take care of the animals. We weren't supposed to genetically modify it. So all we get is toxic metabolites, and we get none of the conscious, if you want to call it that, the energetics of the plant, what glistens, what glows, what responds to light, and what grows. We're supposed to show the things, expose the things of the darkness. We don't grow in the dark. All you have to do is take a chicken egg and put it in an incubator, warm it up, and you still can't get a chicken unless you have the exact right nanometers. These are the first experiments we do with kids, and we know our water's not water structured. So I found myself on this conversation with a doctor. In along with Kimberly Crail, and she's an herbalist, and she's a beautiful herbalist. In fact, she loves the fact that we introduced her to Cardio Miracle, a powdered, natural form, a recipe that is the foundation of those minerals from plants, just as they are. Just as zinc is attached, just as even bee pollen, which brings in the oils and pollinates. Teaching this over again is often exhausting or frustrating, but with beautiful people like Dr. Ariana Love and Kimberly, we can have that conversation. So she's an herbalist, and she said, "Oh, good. I don't have to look for clean ingredients. I don't have to look for the right micron size, that this is I don't want to say shredded because it's not shredded. And then when we look for the right formulation, it's not really a formula, it's a recipe. And that's why we're always showing you those 3 pathways, because that calms the inflammation throughout the body, and you'll take up those nutrients, and you'll actually make your enos. You will make endothelial nitric oxide synthetase, which is what is the enzyme. You will also endocytose, take into the cell 1 virus particle at a time, not a bunch of them all stuck together. Why don't I just say a clot? Because the clots won't form if nature's minerals are used in nature's plant. But most people never ever get water in a single day. And that becomes the difficult thing now, 50 years into this program. And I should even say 150 years, but 1934, when we first weakened the polio virus by passing it through mouse brains, and with the recognition we could pick up mouse viruses that protect mouse brains that aren't human brains, and then be injecting them directly into humans. And this, of course, is where the first cases of what autism in little boys and myalgic encephalomyelitis in little girls. And their puberty, because that's when the hormones turn on, and they're injected with many other viruses from many other animals. And of course, at that time, when your body has to switch to growth, that's why the IGF-1 is so important, because we want to grow bones as we're growing stronger. The Cardio Miracle puts the minerals back in the bones, and most importantly, those all important methyl groups, carbon with 3 hydrogens on it. Well, our water isn't hydrogenated, so again, it's dead in every way. So we do teach as much as we can. Trying to teach people to understand. But I think more importantly, for me this week, the lesson is please lean not on your own understanding. Why do you keep bringing things back to me? Like, for instance, what we were talking about was EDTA and methylene blue. And I don't recommend either of those for the simple reason is there's only one formulation right now made by Global Healing, our friends that made oncogenics and the other terpenes, and also EDTA according to nature in a microsomal formulation, which is not liposomal. So people are taking products that are liposomal. Oh, that's synthetic fat. That's other kinds of fats. And we don't know what those are. And those become viruses in your body. That is circular pieces of fat that deliver all the toxins in the air to the address in the zip code, whether it be the brain and the microglia, the brain and the astrocyte, because we've got polyethylene glycol in all our makeups, because we have graphene oxide in everything that's either put on our skin or anything else. So I don't recommend methylene blue because the formulations are wrong. And unless you have a foundation, and all of the viruses created since 1934, since the first XMRV, Xeno is the X word, capital M, mRNA, manufactured retroviruses. So they reverse transcribe their RNA into DNA and insert it into your DNA. Well, what's the DNA they encounter first? Oh, it's the mitochondrial DNA. So the mitochondrial membrane, what makes ATP, your electron transport chain, is disrupted. And yes, the synthetic chemical called methylene blue in the right formulation, made in the right, extracted in the right formulation. And what Ed Group does in the team over at Global Healing and their laboratory, which I love to go there in Phoenix because it makes me smile because it's just so beautiful. It's everything. It's the water, how they keep the energetics in the water, the filtration, the links they go to. Then everybody's like, well, that's not certified organic. Well, you know why not? Because in order to get that label on a product, you have to irradiate it and kill it. And of course, then it's no longer living. Everything in your grocery store is irradiated. That's why I say stay out of the grocery store, because it's not food. You dip those eggs in chlorine. You dip those and you kill that little membrane. Try it. We take our eggshells from our farmers market eggs that we rinse with borax, in a solution of borax in the sink, like all our vegetables with peels and membranes, because we want to pull off whatever was the heavy metal or the garbage that was sprayed through the air, or any lingering glyphosate. There's nothing that's organic and everything that's organic. Organic simply means there's carbon in it. So I work hard every day to change the language. But most importantly, the reason I talk like this is because I want people to lean not on their own understanding, but go to trusted sources like you, practitioners like you who've experienced everything we've seen. And I'm grateful for you willing to learn, willing to use other formulations like Kimberly did. She said, okay, I don't have to grow every one of these herbs and put it together myself. Humans don't metabolize grass. Cows do. That's the central source of dimethylglycine. And it's so humans just start, oh, I'll just make an elixir of grass and I'll put it in my mouth. And just like dogs, when they get a little gastrointestinal bug, a little worm, they go out and they eat the grass and they vomit, And so then people call me and said, I took this stuff and I vomited. I said, yeah, it worked, didn't it? Because you got the poison out of your gut. And so we dropped the dose down a little bit on oncogenics because it was so strong that when I took it through the bioweapons machine, the Leidos machine at the airport, in that detonates the viruses, the poisons, the sequences that they put in you, activates. Yes, they're nanobots, but everything's a nanobot. I just told you a bacteriophage is a virus that infects the bacteria. All you have to do is grok the red tide, and you'll see it's a dinoflagellate. I was teaching Elijah, honey, what's a dinoflagellate? Oh, it has like two tails, like our boat has two engines. And so one lets you turn around in a circle and the other powers you forward. So I teach them how to row the canoe at the same time. What happens when you're out of balance? So this is the fun we have. Usually on Sunday fun day, but last weekend it lasted all weekend as we were celebrating all our May birthdays. And of course the kids were afraid to get in the water because it was ugly color of rusty brown. But that's what we don't realize. Our God gave us all the cells we need in those hematopoietic stem cells. That's why that's always the first slide. And you're looking at pathways that your God gave you to protect you from the poisons and then clear the poison. Yes, and this is the entire model. This is the entire model of all things COVID. This is whether you call it the neuroimmune diseases, which is what this particular publication in 2012. So you see on that first slide, we had the perpetrators of the fraud, and some of the and they're at the NIH Criminal Center. So yes, here they are, and this is really important. We just did this in our newsletter this week. I thought let's spice it up a bit because people aren't appreciating our newsletter and what's going on because they don't understand me. So I said, okay, you do your homework. Somebody identify the lady in the pink dress and the man to her immediate right and to the far left, because we know who Harold Varmus to her left and Hillary Clinton, and Tony Fauci, of course, and Francis Collins. So there they are in the NIH Criminal Center. And somebody found the quiz. Regan and Robin confirmed it. She was on vacation. She didn't see it, but I knew who sent me that picture. And they were victims of the plague of corruptions, the XMRVs, back to 1934. But when it was called AIDS, when it was called HIV, that's an XMRV. It wasn't a natural virus. All these synthetic viruses, all in these shots. SARS-CoV-2 was in every polio shot since 2004. So I knew this was 2011, but I didn't know the date. So both Robin and Regan was the one that did the most work, and Robin confirmed it with the original picture. So catch us on our X this morning. I think we posted it yesterday. So who they are, our drug enforcement industry, and the man to the far left, I thought was an Israeli, but he's not. His name is Dr. Gallin, Gallin, and he held a very high position at the NIH, and he controlled, and I know exactly what that is. I'll look at it later, but he controlled um, the bench to bedside proposals and the INIP proposals, Intramural Neuroimmune Research Program. That's the cover, the original cover of our book Plague, which the government quickly turned off. But thanks to my husband sacrificing it all for us and Frank Rossetti, we have the original picture that proves in 2006 those people on that first slide took grant proposals Frank Rossetti and I collaborated on in the Institute of Aging with Dennis Taub, and they've now changed the name of multiple sclerosis to CIDP. But it's the exact same cytokine storm I'm showing you in this slide. So up in the top left, and this paper was published by collaborators, scientists, also victims of, just call it long COVID, ME/CFS, Parkinson's, autism, just name it whatever you want. But what it is when the energy from your mitochondria is leaking outside your cells. It's a metabolic disorder because if your cells are leaky, cut holes in them by glyphosate and all the slices of metals and shards of things that are in our synthetic food, the mitochondrial damage. So all the way at the bottom left of this slide that I first showed, I first showed it decades ago, but I showed it last year at the Healing for the Ages conference with Brian Ardis, Ed Group, Henry Ely, and Jana Schmidt. Henry Ely's the water, of course. Ed Group at all things in the natural processing, microsomal processing in the Phoenix lab. So here you have post exertion of the virus, and it can, as I said, you can either send the fire trucks to the fire your brain, aided by blood-brain barrier disruptors, the mast cells, the microglia at the blood-brain barrier. You can put holes in that with every shot they give a child. I don't care, through the decades. And then these things get in the brain just as if you injected the polio virus into mouse brains. So of course now your government knows how it works. So just inject those mouse viruses in everything. SARS-CoV-2, 2004. It has to be infection by injection. That's why the first slide is purging the parasites. Who are the parasites? They're right there. Well, the date on that picture was November 8th, 2011. One day before I barely escaped Hillary's suicide program, and that's scientist in C in our book, Plague of Corruption, which didn't publish until April 14th, 2020, and didn't publish the movie Plandemic May 4th, 2020. So I'm telling you the years because we showed, and right on the right of this is a worm called a trypanosome. There's a dye called trypan blue. And the reason I say this is because, methylene blue or trypan blue. If you don't know which thing is going where, and the why is because in 1991, who and why? In 1991, when I defended my PhD thesis, which was the curative strategy for all AIDS, all human immune deficiency viruses, or HGRV, human gamma retroviruses. So when I got out of jail in 2011, held in the suicide watch, when I was arrested 10 days after I escaped on our boat called Jonah the Whaler, Baby Jonah, actually, it was the 13-foot Boston whaler. The story is fabulous. The God in all of it is a lot of fun right now. So Robin showed us the exact picture that she had given me all those years ago. But of course, I was escaping out the back door on my boat dock, and I didn't quite, a little bit traumatized as I'm hiding on a boat. And yeah, I'm hiding on a boat, and that's this plague of corruption. These criminals literally then force the journal Science while I'm held on the boat. Oh, we went to arrest her and she wasn't there. Yeah, I got out the back door. Yeah, yeah. And then a week later, 9 days later, November 18th, they arrested me. But interestingly, the God in the story, God's in all the stories, but in this particular story, that Kent Lively, the lawyer, when I got out of jail at the end of those 5 days, kidnapped Sheriff Dean from Ventura County. Will Sheriff Dean ever give the Nolde family due process? We're talking about due process. Will anybody ever give us back not only our intellectual property, which is in between me and God, unless I remove all doubt, but the taxpayers back are combined between Mikovits and Rossetti. I married David Nolde October 7th, 2000. I did not leave the National Cancer Institute till May 11th, 2001. That meant the Noldes and never NAIAD. Never NAIAD, the Noldes, the National Cancer Institute, and the Rossettis, Sandra and Frank, own all the royalties, the patents, and so do the taxpayers. So what Bobby and everybody know right now, sorry, Secretary Kennedy and the Trump administration, they know this. They know this slide. They know whether you injected the cows, the pigs, the birds, the chicken eggs, the aborted fetuses into people. They know that all of this was infection by injection. So then, since we got smart enough in 2020, most of us, 1 billion of us were killed, were murdered, but which had little to do with the injection, but everything to do with the masks and the poisoning and the isolation and the murder, hospital homicide. That's where we'll be later this month in Florida, which continues to this day. Well, that trypanosome is where we get trypan blue, but it's also where we get a drug called Suramin from 1904. Oh, wait a minute. The FDA, nobody has any authority. Nobody has a patent over something. That's the same thing as ivermectin. But we, the people, got stupid and listened to these criminals and never did anything. Well, why did they have to, the approval was the entire Biden administration. People don't stand there unless they're allowed to perpetrate a narrative that is a lie. So on our X, we have posted that original article, and they said, oh, we're going to take 30 years of science that we learn, and we're going to cure AIDS. Oh, you're kidding me. You're kidding me. You mean Rossetti's and Mikovits actually proved all of this, and we did cure AIDS, which my 1992 PhD thesis, we did through Genius Omnitura, cure the prostate cancer virus, the one they made called XMRV VP62. Oh, you mean the synthetic one that Joe DeRisi? Oh, at UCSF? Oh, right there in San Francisco, when Tony Fauci said in the 80s, only gay gay men, IV drug users, why don't we say 85, and prostitutes could get HIV? Well, how did you know that? Oh, because you forced that susceptible population to be injected with the synthetic called HIV. It never was LAV. It was not what Luc Montagnier isolated, and we confirmed in 1983. And that's why I told Fauci what he could do to himself that's anatomically impossible. I only spoke to that man 3 times in my life, and I guarantee you he has plausible deniability because he was poisoning all the scientists by way of USAMRIID and by way of Fort Detrick in Frederick, Maryland, where all the minions, where they tried to spray HTLV1 through the air, telling me to do it as a 22-year-old, but manufacture 50 liters. That's as big as the biggest wine thing, 200 liters, 50 gallons, 55 gallon, like a wine vat. And I did fermentation. And we said, no, that's an open air centrifuge, not on our watch. So they just, when they couldn't get away with this anymore in 2015, that's when they built the exact same lab in Wuhan, China. When Gallo, was caught, literally poisoning AIDS patients, San Francisco, who is Joe DeRisi. Well, we're going to do these quizzes now in my newsletter. We're not going to do the same form we always do. We're going to start asking you to do your homework. So this was brilliant work by Robin and Regan. And for that, they're going to get from me a lifetime of, if they want to hear the consults, but I'm also going to send them the products. So I'm going to send them the things I know you make and the ways to heal. And I'm literally going to pay for some of them to come see you and to see the practitioners who know this. So this is the 2012 paper, Dr. Klinghardt in the UK. This is Gerwin Morris in the UK and Michael Mays, and we couldn't publish anything, so they just help us out. When I got out of jail, I couldn't say XMRV, so I said, hey, HGRV, it's just like HIV. It's just a gamma retrovirus, not a lentivirus. And we drew the mechanism, and it's the signature of disease. It's not one cytokine. It's how does your innate immune response create the adaptive immune response, those T cells, and antibodies that are for the exact poison you need. Are you looking for IgA? Are you looking for IgM? Is it a gut IgA? Are you looking for IgG? Which kind? So when you've made an antibody, you're immune. And Magic Johnson tested positive November 7th, 1991. Well, wait a minute. He wasn't a gay man, an IV drug user, or a prostitute, was he? Well, is that racism? So what did you do? You injected hepatitis B, the vaccine, which is HIV. You injected HIV in every hepatitis B vaccine at birth because you had to overcome the epigenetics, the DNA methylation. When you're born, your X chromosomes wipe off all your methyl groups and you put them back on. And in your food, in your group, according to your environment. That's the only way my identical twin and I are different, because our environments have been different from the second we are born. So you see up in the top left, that means post-exertional malaise. And what's it linked to? Oh, P53, that's the protector of the genome. And so that goes down whenever you're fatigued. The muscles, the heart, the brain, and the muscles are where your mitochondria primarily are. So the two things inherited from your mom, the mitochondria and the X chromosome, are what we have here. And you see how the mitochondria provide, if that HGRV on the bottom goes to the plasmacytoid dendritic cell, it responds by something called a toll receptor, which in your gut, in your innate immune response. See, those things, bacteria, plants, cell walls, they don't get into your brain. They get there by way of the signaling from your gut. The HPA axis, the hypothalamus, pituitary, and adrenal gland. And so that all of these things, there's a very specific cytokine signature of disease. We did that. We did that in the biological response modifiers program from 83 to 87 when we cured AIDS. And I used this exact same formula when I first saw or ever heard the word chronic fatigue syndrome in 2005 by criminals, including Kristen Loomis. Oh, she worked for Dara Mablashi. Oh, they worked for Gallo. Oh, and so unfortunately, Kristen Loomis of the Loomis fortune, her daughter was very sick in Connecticut. Oh, had a piano teacher with HIV. No, that wasn't it at all. It was Lyme, Connecticut, and the variant of HIV that causes neuro-AIDS. The reason that the insane, aggressive Adam Lanza and his mother killed those kids in Sandy Hook, because those people on that first screen released those people on that school, creating a narrative. What Alex Jones, he didn't say they weren't dead. He said how they were killed was not true. But each one of these gun attacks gives you them reason to deny our Second Amendment. And I'm Cherokee, and I'll never forget that when the leaders of the tribes told the common man to throw the everyday man to throw their guns in a pile in the town square, and then shot every one of them in front of the women and the children, threw a little smallpox in the blanket. Hey, we got plans for that. Anyway, here's your mitochondria. They're signatures of disease. Signatures of disease. We know exactly which signature targets which worm, which parasite, which immune response, and your cognitive memory. So if you follow that arrow and your mitochondria in your brain are not working, then your neurotoxicity makes brain-derived neurotropic factor. We regenerate neurons, folks. They aren't killed forever. And then we create seizures when that goes down as the electrical conductivity. And while I'm thinking of it, I want everybody to watch yesterday's Highwire, thehighwire.com. And I apologize that I don't remember the name of the beautiful physician, a gynecologist, works with moms. He came in there and he showed us how the serotonin SSRIs destroy the brain. Why don't we just call it fetal SSRI syndrome instead of fetal alcohol syndrome? So we could start to appreciate moms who've been poisoned, who've been in pain, who've been given SSRIs, dope sick like candy, and now their brains are fried, and their children, oh, they didn't get a vaccine. No, but you did, Mom. And you took these drugs. You might as well have called it thalidomide and had your babies born with no arms or whatever. So you see, the seizures go up, the cognitive and the memory and the brain fog increases, your INOS and NO-peroxynitrites go up because you are inflamed. That is not enos. And the next slide shows you why Cardio Miracle. And you develop adaptive subsets. This is why Cardio Miracle. This recipe of a pinch of this and a pinch of that powdered plants that have none of the contaminants, not GMO, powdered in a very specific recipe. Right there in the left-hand side, I'll put my cursor on it. The left-hand side shows you, oh, wait a minute, there's P53, the protector of the genome. And right upstream of that in the green, meaning go, is your vitamin D sensor. And right upstream of that is a liver enzyme. That's it. You're right there. A liver enzyme called CYP27B1. Oh, your liver enzyme that protects the flame from getting too hot if the nanometer of sunlight, if you're out in the sun too long. No, the skin cancer is exploding because of the oil and the petroleum products you're putting on your skin and keeping your kids out of the light as they grow. And this show on the High Wire, this fellow describes serotonin and the pathways and how important they are in the developing brain. And this is why tryptophan, and we don't have that slide, but notice back the red, green, and yellow level right in the middle of that slide, where TGF beta is a yellow light. So your innate immune response is going to say, let's slow down here. Take a minute and let's see what the poison actually is. So Frank Rossetti got the 1992 Distinguished Service Award in part for showing TGF beta was a master regulator, goes both ways, a balancer of the hematopoietic stem cell. So you can actually drive to the mesenchymal stem cell and build bone. No such thing as failure to thrive. We simply can't build bone because we're so inflamed that we don't have any food or water, that we pull all the nutrients out of our bones. And so the last thing is the NO goes up by way of nitric oxide synthetase, enos. So that criminal governor of Hawaii admitted in Congress last week that this was a vascular disease. And when you intubate, it's not a problem of getting air to the lungs, it's the absorption of air. It's the molecular properties. And in the patient population called Lyme disease, they called it air hunger. They could breathe as much as they want, and they couldn't get air to the tissues. So you see, my husband, when he was suffocated to death in the hospital for 6 days, all we had was Cardio Miracle on board for the 2 months or so, for more than a year when I learned of it. But for the 2 months or so from the time I met John Hewlett and said, I'm 90% convinced, October 2021, that was the functional characteristics of nutraceuticals. And it's not a nutraceutical, they're nutrients, but you could call it that if we're going to replace pharmaceuticals, using spectral clustering. Shine a light on it. How do you tell a counterfeit? You hold it up to the light. Here's $100 bill, which my nephew who was here last week earned. What do you see when you hold it up to the light? You can't feel it. You don't know it. You don't study the Bible better. No, you shine a light on it and you show the evil. So you make more vitamin D. You don't take vitamin D. If you drink it and you're a black man, you'll shut down this pathway and you will die. And then you will develop cancer. There's P53. You see those 2 red boxes right there, those 2 red blobs? Those are 2 key MAP kinases. MAP kinases, phosphorylated, they also are red. No, you're not touching my cancer protector of the genome. We aren't going there. And right there to the bottom, south of that, you see something called, ApoE, apolipoprotein A. Oh, macrophages in your heart, protecting your heart, get foam cells. Oh, apolipoprotein E. Why don't we just call it Rancid fats. Our fats are rancid. We pop things like vitamin E, so we're not lubricating anything, and I can't even get there in an hour-long talk here. So the three things that it does, the green is regulation of monooxygenase, one oxygenase, an enzyme that clips oxygen and puts it that way. What is a peroxynitrite? What is hydrogen peroxide? What is chlorine dioxide? They're two oxygen on a molecular form of chlorine. And it's very important. Again, watch the Truth Seekers where this talk was first shown. Andreas Kalker, so with chlorine dioxide, humans aren't made to take chlorine dioxide every day. Your immune system does that. Do I use the products? Absolutely. So we were struggling as we were breathing in the poisons for the air, and my esophagitis, my cough took off because I was born with this obstructive airway disease, and I get fluid in my lungs, and I'm out there in the phospho, a kinase has put a phosphorus on it. And so these are not a serine protease. So we're just being lied to that all our nutrition is not. So calveoli mediated endocytosis is take into the cell one virus. The membrane opens up and it envelops and it takes in one poison at a time. Well, that's why you don't want to throw dimethyl sulfoxide at things. Oh, because you're going to take in all the poisons, all the spike prune, everything in the grocery store. Oh, they dip egg yolks, eggs in chlorine. So what they're doing now to everybody is saying, oh, go get a yellow fever vaccine. Oh, yeah, so we can perpetrate our bird flu lie. So it's very important to understand, but this says the centrality of calveoli-mediated endocytosis for management of nitric oxide, vitamin D deficiencies, and atherosclerosis. Right there, all three pathways. Green is go, blue is calm it down, red is heat it up. And look what we just did. And this was a download, I shouldn't say we, to John Hewlett in 2007. Everybody thought he was insane. It took him till 2014 to get the exact ingredients into that canister. And then when I met him in 2021, I said, do this study and I'll believe you. And so the fun of the first slide, and I'll stop in a minute so we can go on with you. The fun of this first slide is that, they thought, the evil, they thought they had checkmate. They thought they had suicided me on November 9th. They went up there and they were so bold that they thought I would end up dead on November 9th. So please read Scientist at Sea or join us in our book club next Wednesday because we will be playing Scientist at Sea again. So you could see the God and how we escaped out the back door on our boat dock. It's even funny because 9 days later, when I'm held in that jail kidnapped into that jail by actors in police uniform, that's the arrest. But that's the first chapter of Plague of Corruption, because we couldn't prove any of this, and it actually had to wait until, Trump Kennedy. It had to wait. I know Trump knew this in 2014. I know that's why Kamala kept saying, 2014, wait a minute, he was elected. He came down the escalator in 16. Why did you go back to 14? Because we caught them in 11. We caught them in 12. Thank you, Gerwin, for the publication. Thank you, Robin. Thank you, Regan. And that's what I wrote in our first book, in that email to Harold Varmus and the head of the Heart, Lung, and Blood Institute, in San Francisco, where they perpetrated this fraud when the blood supply was contaminated. killing Arthur Ashe, killing Ryan White, killing Mickey Willis, driving this false narrative. And if you can take it on your vacation, watch the Dallas Buyers Club and ask yourself, why did that come out in 2013 after Candace Pert died? Why did that come out in 2013 when that hero came and said, yeah, we can repurpose things. Yeah, we can cure that again. It doesn't matter how many bioweapons. While there's breath, there's life. And while there's practitioners that and people of integrity, will tyranny, I'll just finish with our 1828 Webster's Dictionary from our founding father of the education department, just saying, taking down Harvard too, aren't we? Yeah, because those are criminals. And no, they did no medical research that ever helped one person in this country. What they did was take the natural product, the data that showed all you needed was clean food, and the drugs that we developed from plants, and turn them into bioweapons and poison and inject them into your children since 1934, unchecked, untested since 1986. When all liability was put on pharma, taken off of pharma, it was placed right on health and human services. Those people right there perpetrated a fraud because the disease able to affect the economies of nations. Because now in 2010, a year after our paper came out, by 2011, it was, we got to shut this down because every good doctor, every good practitioner, everybody saw it. And Dr. Darrell, I'm so grateful because he's one of the first, and the Braveheart Nation. He knew our cow's milk was contaminated. He knew why I got kicked out of Upjohn for proving that, putting bovine growth hormone. But Bobby knows that they said they didn't put that in the cows, but they did. But they did, just like they continued the dyes in the food when they lied to the American people and said it was removed in 2015. So a shout out to Bonnie Hari and Callie and Cassie Means. These are young kids and they can't see all of this. And that's why they need the gray hairs like me to get in there and teach them and honor them and thank them for their integrity. They don't know what they don't know, and that's why we appreciate you. So for this Braveheart Nation, I think that's enough of an explanation. No methylene blue, all methylene blue wasn't created equal. And EDTA is a chemical, and yes, there are 7 or 8 formulations. Yeah, we don't need that one. That was your liver, and we did this a little bit last time. Lactic acid, this is the molecular level. This is how you metabolize nucleic acids, amino acids, and lipids to give you the gas to drive the molecular biology. My PhD, and that it was awarded in 1992 was molecular biology and biochemistry. I proved it at the chemical level, and then I proved it at the molecular level. And that's why Magic Johnson is alive. Not the lie you said. No, he never got anything again. No, he didn't get murdered by AZT like Mickey Willis's brother or Arthur Ashe, who happened to be an advocate for Black athletes, Anyway, so this proimmune is the building blocks: glutamine, glucose, and glutamine, L-cysteine, and glycine, because glyphosate is poisoning everything. So this gives you the balance where you actually make from your liver glucose. You not sugar. I said glucose. That's why the plants are powdered in the first slide, because you can't eat 9 fruits and vegetables a day or whatever they tell you, loaded with glyphosate, loaded with fructose. Your liver already plasticized and make ATP and lipids. We make lipids. We metabolize lipids. Fatty acid oxidase. IGF is methylated, insulin-like growth factor. You pump insulin into these kids and adults, and you're just killing them, and your natural immune responses won't happen. And I said that for our friend Scott.
Well, thank you, Judy, Dr. Judy. That was a lot of information. I know that I can sit back here and just, absorb it all, because what you're saying is so important. And you really touched on a really good topic, which is that we work together here at Braveheart Nation. What we teach people is exactly what you're talking about. We are constantly telling people that you're not going to get enough from the soil, from even going down to the farmer's market and getting organic foods. You have to take some nutraceuticals. You have to supplement your livet. I hate calling it a diet. It's a lifestyle. It's what you want in order to live, right? And so I am going to encourage everybody, because you want to watch Dr. Judy and 18 other amazing world leading healers of the faith. And this is free to everybody out there. It's on June 8th. And it's 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. It's already on my calendar. We're just going to hunker down and really listen. This is an opportunity. These people are volunteering their time. This is how much they care about you, about themselves, about their families. If we don't take our power back, if we're not back in the driver's seat, if we're not being our own self-practitioners, we're not going to make change, and we're not going to get healthy. This is what Dr. Judy was saying. Listen to the doctors that know. A PhD, a doctor is a teacher. They're here to teach us. And shame on the ones who don't bring us the truth, that call themselves doctors that really aren't doctors, who've forgotten what being a doctor is really about. So we always have a live Q&A where you can ask in real time to any of the people that are there. And that'll be Monday, June 9th from 12 to 2 and Wednesday, June 11th from 7 to 10. You have to go to bhnuniversity.com and sign up, because then you get the link. If you don't sign up, yes, you can watch us on Facebook and everything, but you won't have the link for the absolute in-person live Q&As on Monday and Wednesday. So again, this is called Healers of the Faith. And then again on July 13th, we have Gold Care. So now you have Dr. Dana H. Granberg-Nill, you've got Dr. Simone Gold, you've got Daryl Wolfe, and 18 world-leading healers, again, giving you their time to teach you the truth, to teach you the things that we need to know in order to take our health back and our lives back. Because God didn't make a mistake. We say it all the time. You can reverse the irreversible, but you have to stop doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. And you can't keep abdicating your power to the medical system. They do not know what real health is, okay? We here at the Braveheart Nation, we actually do. And she's right. Find yourself a practitioner. Find somebody to do a perfect day consult with. Start talking about where your healing journey is right now. Every one of us is beautiful and unique. Yes, we have all the same issues, but everybody's starting from a different place. Find someone to meet you where you're at, so you can do that 1% a day, so that in 100 days, you're there. That's what we tell people. So Sunday, July 13th, again from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then the Q&As are always going to be the Monday following. So that'll be the 14th, 12 to 2, and Wednesday, the 15th from 7 to 10. Again, you have to go to bhnuniversity.com and sign up so that you can be part of it in real time. That's what makes it exciting, right? So we're having a Braveheart Nation Memorial Day sale, and that was from Monday the 26th until Sunday, June 1st. This is how much we care. We keep offering all kinds of different amazing ways for you guys to start your healing journey, because you do need to have these nutraceuticals. You have to have them in order to front load, in order to help your body get back to a healing state. It took you how many years to get into a state of inflammation, right? We are an inflammation nation. And as Dr. Judy has said before, nothing is going to happen correctly in the body when the inflammation is present. You have to got to put the fire out in order to start the healing. And so go to the docofdetoxstore.com and start looking at what you have. We have bundles there, knowing to help you get started. But again, nothing is going to be as powerful as getting a perfect day consultation. And look, we've been banned from Facebook because of some of the things that we're saying. It's ridiculous. And so, remember, they're afraid of us. Imagine that. They are absolutely terrified of us because we are talking about the truth, and we're bringing amazing doctors like Dr. Judy onto our platform that they can't shut us down from, so that we can continue to get this word out, because it's so very important. And look at that. We're growing approximately 20,000 new Brave Hearts every day. You can download the BHN app. It's totally free. And you get to start connecting with other Brave Hearts who are on this journey. That's right. You want to be with the people who have your back. You want to be with the people who are bringing you the information that actually matters. Okay? Because our message is free to the world. This is what we keep saying. We're bringing all these people who are volunteering their time because that's how important it is. If we don't stay connected and unite, because we're always stronger when we're together. And here it is, you guys. Here's the app. When you start this journey of healing, when you start eating whole plant-based food diet, when you live it, when you start eating as much as you can, yes, you do want to do organic, but like Dr. Judy said, you still have to clean it. You still have to wash your vegetables before you eat them. You still want to make sure that there's no residuals. And, you know, it's the first time that I've heard the borax. So do you have a formula for what you make to wash those vegetables?
Oh, sure. You just buy 20 multine borax out of the laundry detergent section of the grocery store, or some of them actually took borax out of the stores around here. And we don't go in grocery stores anyway. So we go to Lowe's or one of the other places, Smart and Final. We don't go anywhere with a pharmacy in it for sure, because that just poisons all your food. And it's 20 miltine borax, and I put a half cup or so in my sink. I fill it up with warm water. I go to that farmer's market on Saturday, and I gently lower my eggs into it, and my avocados and my lemons. And by the way, I don't buy spinach, anything. I don't buy anything that is in Cardio Miracle, because that's your perfect recipe. So everybody's like, I can't afford it. No, you can't afford not to. You can't afford to try and figure out how to mix the oxalates. And, you know, there's no kale in it, because kale ain't good for humans. Just saying. So, you know, you need to know what you're doing. So once you have the Cardio Miracle, all you need to know is, hey, that's what I told you is the three main, and we know is the three main, it's not me, pathways. That's what the spectral clustering, the spike protein interactions right there. So borax, we put it in the sink, we fill it with water. I wash my glasses in it. I wash a cauliflower. In fact, I'm going to make cauliflower soup today. Fabulous, with some great butters and ghees and cheeses I got at the farmer's market. Little kimchi, add a little spoiled cabbage to it. So this is what I do. I cook. And sometimes I even add IPA, and sometimes I even cook with wine. At any rate, that's it. So we just put it in. I put it in my laundry detergent. Pull that crap off your clothes. Before I got on the show, I just put it in my toilets. It's cleaning day. I got to clean this mess up so we're ready for the party tomorrow, Sunday.
You laugh, but I also make a formula and use it in my dishwasher, because you're absolutely right. I don't use those chemical pods anymore. I don't put that stuff on my stuff.
Neither do I. I put it right there, and I don't rinse it. You don't rinse it. Just soak it in there. It's all dissolved. It gets in through the skin. And if you're a bartender like me, you zest the lemon. I'm right here by the ocean. So what it zest means is you cut out a part of the peel down to the white part. And then you put that in your drink, and you get the oils. Those are called liver bitters. They're good for you. And in your COVID shot, it's wonderful. Anyway, where I also do a salty dog on Sundays with grapefruit juice, because the drug metabolizing enzymes are what they don't want you to know. Those CYP450s, they are poisoning your liver, so you can't metabolize the drugs, and we'll do that on Monday. But at any rate, so I wash everything. I wash everything in that. My floors, pull all the metals, no matter what. I live in the cleanest place in the world. So blessed, thanks to Bob, I can rent this place. Bob is the owner, and He's just delightful. And he won't even let me bring Windex in here. And he saw a bottle in the garage and he said, Judy. And I said, it's Lance's boat. I don't bring it in here. So, when you live clean and you don't, because Windex will take the front part off a mirror. It destroys things. Glass is silicon dioxide, a solid form of, and so these things are in your pills. So I think when we talk about nutrition, like you do there, liquids, powders, liquids, powders, please, the pills load up the problems. And it's easy to demand companies do spectral clustering of their products. So we can make a label claim for our God there, and that's exactly what we can do. Yes, this is all things COVID, living water. We don't have to create the controversy that is the NO in air pollution is not the NO that is delivered to your vasculature to heal this vascular disease. It never was a respiratory virus. It was just made into a coronavirus by that ACE receptor binding domain. So your HIV and your gamma retrovirus that sterilizes you goes right to the nucleus. So yes, borax, 20 mule team borax, right out of Salt Lake. Yeah, because it's kind of healing. It's preservative. That's what we need. We're deficient in everything. Everything they told us is a lie. All you have to do is flip it 180 degrees. The word is repent in the Bible. If they say it, if you see it on TV, don't do it. See how easy my classes are? And I do want to say the fun on Sunday, June 8th, we brought people who patiently ages, artist group, Ely, Janice Schmidt, the Bee Lady. I mean, we brought people who listen to me say this over and over and over again for more than a decade. Dr. Klinghardt, since like 2006 or so. And they saw it, and I try to draw the pictures and I try to explain it in a way people can understand. It's not anybody's fault, but the heroes turned into healers of the faith are those that listened to me until they could understand it and process it, never gave up on me. So we're going to see some very cool people like Christina Parks, like Avery Jackson, the neurosurgeon, like Riza Islam, and Dr. Lee Muhammad, Pax Immune. We're going to see Michael Karlfeld. We're going to see Dr. Klinghardt. We're going to have a seriously fun day. And all they're going to tell is Judy stories. It's not science. You're not going to get what you just got today. You're going to get how restoring the communication between human beings by speaking the truth in love. They had to love me because when I almost got killeried and then I got jailed, sometimes I scream at the top of my lungs, but they understood that and were gracious to me, and we're going to have a lot of fun on the 8th.
Well, I know that I'm really looking forward to it. And, that brings up a good point. What is the standard? You have to hear something 11 times before you get it. So that's why we keep bringing these shows every week.
It just turned 11/11.
That's right.
It just turned 11/11. I guess we've heard it 11 times.
There you go. I like it. So anyway, when you guys download this app, it can track your perfect day, news and event, go to the New World Practitioner map, find yourself a Power Pack clinic like I have here in Northern California. Find somebody close by and start your healing process. With the cell-sonic regeneration, the cardio med bed, with everything else that we're taking, we're talking about expediting your health to the next level, right? And Dr. Sage Wolfe is going around right now doing these amazing treatments. So if you've never had a full body thermography scan, this is something you really want to get done, all right? You're not going to get it from anywhere else where he's going to do 120 points on your body and he's going to discover where the inflammation is in your body, tell you where to focus. You get a perfect day consultation with it. He's also doing his Wolfe Non-Surgical, and you guys, he's the teacher of all the master practitioners. He's the one that's doing 8 people a day, 350 days a year. I guarantee you that he's going to have a skill level that is not to be beat. And I think I'm pretty good, but when Dr. Sage gets his elbow on me, I know it feels so good. So he's teaching the Wolfe Non-Surgical. He's teaching Wolfe Non-Surgical right now in Florida. Afterwards, from June 6th to 10th, he will be taking appointments. So give Deborah a call, 305-342-9559. From there, he's going up to Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Okay, and he'll be offering treatments from Monday, June 26th to June 30th. You want to call the beautiful Lorraine Clifford. She's at 403-605-9216. Then he's off to St. Louis, Missouri, right? You get Tim and Sandy. He'll be there July 6th to July 15th. You can call them at 479-215-9592. And then he's coming up here to Northern California, Occidental Health and Healing, of all the places to come, right? July 20th to July 29th. My clinic is located on 13 acres of unbelievably gorgeous redwoods. I'm less than 2 miles from the ocean. You are talking about a sweet place to come, full of oxygen. It is an EMF-free clinic. So when you step foot on my property, that's right, you are already feeling better. People say, oh my goodness, it's like, I don't know that I've actually breathed oxygen before, right? And we probably have 10,000 redwoods. I mean, we've got a lot. Okay, we've cleared just enough to build a home and a clinic, and that's the way I like to keep it. It is beautiful. We have wildlife. July 20th to July 29th, call me, 707-322-1979. Dr. Judy's coming. She keeps pointing at herself. So then we're going to be in Los Angeles, California. You call Niren at 386-631-4066, and that's July 31st to August 7th. And then one last trip to Montreal, Quebec. Last time he's in Canada, probably for a very long time. He won't be doing these treatments again. So I tell people he's going to be doing the clinic over at in Florida at Jim Dale's property and heading that healing clinic. So this opportunity that he's doing right now and going around the world and giving his time, you really want to take advantage of it. So he will be in Montreal, Quebec from August 23rd to September 1st. You want to call Christine at 438-929-0997. If you missed any of these, and we don't expect you to memorize them because I went through them fast, go to bhnuniversity.com. Click on the Dr. Sage picture. It's all here, where he's going to be, the dates he's going to be, who to call, appointments to make. And you guys, I have maybe a couple of afternoons left, and he's not coming till July. So this is how important it is to call now. Don't wait to the last minute. You won't be able to find time or a slot to squeeze into. Now, these are the courses still being offered this year. He will be in Calgary, Canada, as we talked. The Wolfe Non-Surgical is June 14th to the 21st. And the last in person where you get Lorraine, and I was hoping that I would be able to make it. I'm not sure that I will, but Lorraine will be there. Women's Pelvic Restoration, June 27th to the 29th. In person is so powerful. Women, your pelvic area is not a shadow box. It is not a great mystery. Bring the light in, just like Dr. Judy was saying. We have more bits and pieces. You want to know how it all works, how it's all connected. And remember, your breasts are the mirror to your pelvic area. If you have breast issues, you have pelvic issues. And this is how it's all connected, okay? Come and learn how to be a healer for our powerful, powerful pelvic bowl. Remember, we hold things, we create life here, we grow life. So it's so important that you know how to make it the most beautiful, pristine, gorgeous womb to grow another human being. And then we're going to be in Los Angeles, Wolfe, the Whole Life Certified Coach, September 13th to the 21st, and the Wolfe Non-Surgical, the 8th to the 19th. And then Ixtapa will be in Mexico, where all three will be offered, right? Whole Life Coach in October to November, Wolfe Non-Surgical, November 9th to 19th. And the Women's Pelvic Restoration, although you're allowed to be there live in person, is also going to be online. So we will be filming. It'll be a very different experience, but we need to get this out to every woman out there. So we need to absolutely make it available. DOD 5-star. Remember, here at Braveheart Nation, just like with Dr. Judy, we want every patient to become a healer and pass it on, and every victim to become a Braveheart. And we are on all these different platforms if they're not knocking us off. Facebook, X, Instagram, YouTube, Rumble, Telegram, BitChute. You know, there's so many places for you to find us. And now we're audio. So you can find us on Spreaker and Spotify and Deezer and iHeartRadio and any platform that you're using, you'll find us on, especially the BHN TV station, which they can't ever knock us off. We have fulfillment centers all over the world. When we do these sales, we're going to find the closest one to you, the United States, Canada, and Australia. And of course, we tell everybody, become an affiliate partner. You want to refer people to us. So why not be an affiliate person? If you're referring people, then you're going to get a commission. Go to DocaDetoxPartner.com and get yourself signed up. And of course, if you are a practitioner, then there are no excuses. You need to be giving high frequency nutraceuticals to your clients and to your patients because you want to actually see them heal. There is no pill out there that doesn't have crap in it. A pill just has no efficacy. That's not what you want to be taking. Powders and liquids. This is where the magic happens. And so go to DACA Detox wholesaler, wholesale buyer, and that way you can also pass this on to your clients. Ask anybody that's been to see me and how they feel right now, and they will tell you it's unbelievable. You can feel it immediately when you start taking our nutraceuticals because they're alive. It's what your body needs. So 855-900-4544 is our toll-free number, extension 5 to get yourself signed up. And of course, the DoD Power Pack clinics worldwide, you guys, this is where the healing really happens. The cell sonic regeneration is the most powerful energy medicine device to break up calcification, scar tissue, wound healing. You name it, it does it. This is why we are bringing it to you, and we want it all over the world. And of course, the cardio med bed. What happens when we have perfect circulation? When your heart is doing exactly what it's supposed to be doing. You're supposed to be living to 120 years old. How come we're dropping like flies, 40s, 50s, and 60s? That's crazy. We can reverse the irreversible. You want this to happen. And if you buy a Power Plat clinic through us, you're getting 23 days of professional training for free. That's $10,000 of training. So that it's not just that you have these amazing energy devices, you know how to use them. You know how to talk about them. You know what they do for you. And then you become the practitioner extraordinaire. And here in the United States, we have financing now available. We're hoping to get it other places. But if you're in the United States, we need more Power Pack clinics. I think I can count on two hands how many we have, and that's all of the states. So we really want more and more. And that includes the courses that we're teaching. The DoD 5-star healing retreat in Ixtapa is absolutely, bar none, the most beautiful, amazing place for you to go. Take yourself out of your environment that's creating the issues in the first place and go get yourself healed. It will be curtailed for you. Whatever it is that you need to get done, they're going to magic it so that it's exactly what you need for your healing journey. Go to the DoD5star.com and find out when you can be there. If you can't make it to any of our courses for the Wolfe Non-Surgical, the trainings, Dr. Sage Wolfe will come to you. I'm sure that that's going to be less and less available. So if you do have people that you want to learn with, your family or whoever, call Dr. Sage and get booked as soon as you can, right? Same toll-free number, 855-900-4544. Again, this is extension 5. And we do not raise our prices. We have not raised our prices in years, right? Because we do have to pay our practitioners that come and teach the courses. Basically, that's what we're charging. So you're going to do these courses. If you're in Canada, it's Canadian dollars. The US, it's US dollars. We are really meeting people where they are so that you guys can actually get the education that you need and then pass it on. Again, financing's available in the US. I already talked about the perfect day consultations. If you want one with Dr. Wolfe, it's $250. He has a long waiting list of people who want to get it done from him. You call Cynthia at WhatsApp 250-980-0554, or again, our toll-free number, this time extension 1, or go to Perfect Day Consultations and get signed up with a master practitioner. It's 150. We are more available. I do perfect day consultations on a weekly basis because you want to start with the consultation. You need somebody who can meet you at your healing journey wherever you are. And then you have a coach for life. I know I'm working with people in Germany, and we do weekly Zoom calls and talk about how they're staying on the course, what they can do. You know, we are all passionate about our work, and we'll be the greatest cheerleaders you've ever had to get you on that health track. And we now have clothes. We have our sweatshirts, t-shirts, hats, hoodies. Go to the DOD, to the DocaDetoxStore.com, start wearing our clothes and be a walking advertisement. And this is the perfect day guide. This healing guide is everything that you need when you want to understand what's going on in your body, how the mechanisms work. And this is, you know, the perfect day for dummies. I mean, an 8-year-old can understand the reading. He made it that simple. He wants everybody to understand this. This should be out there for your children to read. This should be a bedtime story. Start talking about your health. Talk about the things that matter. You're going to walk through life with this gorgeous communication device that we've been given, and you want this temple to be clean and you want it to be healthy so that when you're speaking from the truth, people hear you on a, you know, emotional, physical, mental level. I love this book. I've been reading it again, Healthy to 100. You know, you want to take your power back and you want to live to be 100, 120, then you're going to have to change your lifestyle. You're going to have to learn what it takes. And we have been ruled, fooled, and schooled. Emotional eating, all the things that we do to shut down feeling, and feeling is healing. And so what we tell people is bring it to the surface and let it go. All of our healing journey is about that. Okay? So the only permanent health care is self-care. And the only permanent love is self-love. Until we learn to unconditionally love ourselves, then we do not have the tools to do that for anyone else. If you are judging other people, you're judging yourself. Everybody is a mirror or a giant post-it note with something for you to learn about how you hold yourself back, right? Regardless of where they are, they're still a child of God. They are still whole and perfect. They just forgot. And so when you're in a place of unconditional love, then you have the ability to see that regardless of their personalities. And of course, to rise to your full potential, you have to learn to fly, and that is to first love yourself. We talk about it over and over. And just like with Dr. Judy, we are stronger when we rise together. I can't thank you enough that you do this for us every Monday and Friday. It is such a gift for you to be part of our Braveheart Nation. So before we do our Braveheart Oath, I just want to say thank you. Thank you. Is there anything you want to add, Dr. Judy?
No, just my gratitude for you for doing this every Monday and Friday, because I'm grateful. I'm hoping I can show up on the 20th of July. I just checked my schedule and come see you. So I'm going to try and book you on the first day of this, and I'll stay whatever it takes to learn a couple of days. I have to get home soon, but looks like I can come up on the 20th.
Well, I better mark that off so that I make sure I have room for you on the 20th, right?
It's a Sunday. That's what I looked at. I was looking at my calendar. So if you can,
It is a Sunday, but I have one person. So what I'm saying is I'll put you on there so that I don't
okay,
give
good.
it to somebody else. Otherwise, that time will be gone just like that.
Okay. I
All
know
right.
that. I can see that. And I can't wait to get there because I love Bodega Bay too. So that'll be some fun for me.
I am so excited. So we end every one of our shows with the Braveheart Oath. This is called your mirror work. This is the beginning of self-love. Is you sit down in front of that mirror and I want you to say it till you mean it, right? Don't just say the words. Say it like you love yourself, because it goes like this. I am love. I am healed. I am Braveheart. Today and every day, from the moment I rise until I gently close my eyes, I will always trust, honor, respect, protect, forgive, and totally love myself first and foremost before anyone else or anything else. So help me God, because I am, I can, I am love, I am healed, I am Braveheart. and I am all in. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. It has been a pleasure. It always is. That's why we do this every week. Have yourself a fabulous weekend.
You too.